Yeah. Um, commercial morality, collectively fair practices among competitors. Commercial espionage is often cited by courts as being below accepted standards of commercial morality. Then you have the commercial tort claim. A claim arising in tort when the claimant is either an organization or an individual whose claim arose in the course of the claimant's business or profession. Yeah. And the claim does not include damages arising out of personal injury or death. Now, typical commercial tort claims are fraud and conversion. Now, let's say, yes, that I want to know the ownership of all the alarm companies. And somebody does understand that you have to go to the police department every year. You have to fill out that application. You have to pay $100 a year in Vancouver. I did. Why don't you get me all the signatures of every home alarm system in Clallam County? Yes. In Jefferson County? Yes. And for every lawsuit. Now, for those in law enforcement that said, well, we get paid to answer an alarm. Yes, we do. It really does add to the income of the county when there is never an alarm that goes off. Yes. It's one of those expenses that alarm companies don't often mention. Yes. Because of their want to install their system. Yes. So they can monitor the alarms. Right. Using either the telephone line or a wireless system. Yes. And a lot of police departments receive a lot of income from every home alarm. Yes. Now, if I looked at the actual revenue of the individual police departments, yes, and their want to commit this crime of misprision of felony, yes, multiple times, yes. And I looked at each and every sheriff's department, the fire departments, and the ambulance services, yes. I would say that each city, county, and state is really enriching themselves, yes, at the belief, yes, that commercially available home alarm systems are of benefit to those that are homeowners, yes, because they prevent crime, yes, and they notify you of fire, yes, or some other emergency, a break-in or something like this. Now, my thought is, yes, in commercial tort claim, yes, he does, that for you to not answer, yes, an email, or a documented felonies, yes, that would be like you not answering an alarm when somebody sets it off. Yes. Now, that would violate the contractual obligations of emergency services. Yes. It kind of like, well, I'm going to set the alarm off in my home, even though I paid you $100 a year to make sure that you answer. Yes. And every time I send an email, you refuse to answer. Yes. Now, I sent you an email today documenting crime. See, there is some commercial tort claim for fraud and conversion. Yes. I send an email, yes, to those in law enforcement about fraud. Yes. The fraud of using forgeries to issue court orders. The fraud of issuing a dissolution of marriage where there's no jurisdiction. Yes. The fraud of having my sons in the wrong grades. Pooch. The fraud of impersonating Marilyn Van Bruyn in a Rotary newsletter. Yes. And every time I email, you say you have no commercial obligation to answer. Well, that's the same as having an alarm system where the person turns on the alarm and you decide you're not going to answer. Yeah. Now, just looking at it, um, I think that there's a tort lawsuit against all law enforcement, yes, for having any knowledge of a felony, yes, especially when it involves conversion and fraud. Pooch! And I'm going to want to know every annual payment, yes, of all of those in every city, yes, for an alarm system. Poot. I want to know the total amount you've received right now. See, newspapers. It took me a couple hours to upload my videos, yes. And I know, well, it did, yes. And then I sent it to attorneys, but I didn't email any new attorneys today. No. But what I did do is I documented, yeah, Crime, state and federal felonies. So, those in the media, yeah, newspapers, television, or radio. In fact, why don't you get me the alarm system of all newspapers in the United States? Yes. I just wanted to know if somebody broke into a newspaper and stole the whole bunch of them. Yes. And you set off the alarm, would the police respond? How about the news broadcasting? Como, Cairo? Ouch. I know I emailed Como quite a few times. Northwest, NWSN? Yeah. You know, this idea of covering up state and federal felonies, you just can't do it. So why don't you get me the alarm systems of all news media? Yeah, everywhere in the United States. And then is their alarm on 24 hours a day so that you might sew into them so that you'd know? Because when I document that it is an actual crime, yes, this is a screen print of what is called misprision of treason. Ouch, ouch. Yeah, this is an actual felony. You can't use forgeries of the ex officio Superior Court clerk. Now, report a crime under federal law. You have knowledge of the commission of a crime? Yes. Yes, yes. A felony actually occurred. Hmm. And for some reason, the felony is a federal offense. Yes. It is a federal offense to use forgeries to issue court orders. Right. It is an actual federal offense to issue a dissolution of marriage. Yeah. Where you don't give any notice to the respondent that there were court hearings. Yes. That you issued it to my wife. Yes. Knowing it was a United Nations marriage certificate. Yeah. It's a federal offense to kidnap children and to have them in the wrong grades for the last 8 years. Poop. It is a federal offense to use forgeries of the petitioner on any document. Yes. And then this whole idea of malicious harassment, where you say, well, it is an actual felony. Yes. To arrest a person refusing to admit evidence. Oh, it is an actual felony right now. Now, I think there's some commercial tort claims, yes, that I am going to sue police and sheriff's departments for. Yes, I'm going to sue bus companies. I'm going to sue those, yes, he is, that have the responsibility that when you answer the fucking call right now, ooh, Mr. Right Big Toe. Now, why don't you get me the alarm companies in every city and all of the signatures of every homeowner, every business, and the total amount of